Alright, we are live with the first stream on my channel here. On YouTube anyway. Let's get Twitch up and running. Okay. We should be live on both now. Get more stuff up and running. What am I looking for? Yeah, my chat client. I'll have to update that later. Okay. Everything seems to be good. Test chat. Okay. And now let's get into it. So, oh, who's that? I seem a little bit quiet. Okay. How's this? This is a new setup, so I don't have my mic arm anymore that holds the mic in my face. I need to... It's hard with this desk. I need to figure that out. How do I sound now? Okay, great. Do you know my YouTube link? Is everything sounding good over there? And is this clear? I set the bitrate to 4500, which should be enough for both these streams. Okay, let me see. I need to do some Advent of Code prep, and I think the first thing I need to do is make sure we're up to date on all our versions. Okay, we're on the latest Scala. SBT 197. Okay, that's good. What I wanted to try was getting some library code ready. So, for example, we have a lot of problems that use point. So let's just search 2022. And we just want to list problems that had a point. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, a lot of them. Where would I put new files? Let's see. Create a new text file. I wonder if we'll make a new directory here. I don't want to reuse util. I don't know, maybe core, let's say AOC. And look up point.scala. Okay. So, taking inspiration from, let's like this one. And I've had a few variations. So, day 9, 10. Let's look at some differences. I also have an area I've used a few times. This is wrong, day 9. Day 9, 2022. Okay, same kind of thing. Oh, a bot wants to offer me a promotion. Well, I'm sorry. How do we ban this? Flash ban. Ugh, I don't know. All right. I also had an area. So let's grep for that's area. No. Guess I didn't use area last year. 17, 2022. It is a useful one. Okay, let's search for grid. Did I have a grid last year? That I find hard to believe. Okay, well, let's look at more of our points. We had different methods. Sometimes I use north, south, east, west, and up, down, right, left. So I think I might as well just have all those names here. 10, 12, 14. Let's look at 10. Nothing here. 12. Oh, by the way, Spencer. I think I have my overlay turned on right now for the combined chat. So if you could give that system, actually I can test myself. Testing. I don't know. Apparently that overlay doesn't quite work here. I ended up using Social Stream Ninja. Yeah, it's not showing up. It is in Chrome, the second link, right? I have to be careful not to show it. I hate how Social Stream Ninja doesn't automatically blur your links. So the featured chat overlay, I do have the chats popped out. So it is working in that I can type in Social Stream Ninja, and the messages appear in both the YouTube and the Twitch chats. right? I don't know. YouTube's a bit slow. I'm not sure why. Friggin' YouTube chat seems kind of flaky. I finally saw it working with bot tricks, but it was like a huge delay. And maybe there's a huge delay here too. Let me just check that the overlays are... Oh, yeah. Okay. So it does work. So Social Stream Ninja seems to work the best. It's more or less instant sending messages over. But I suppose the overlay isn't working quite the way I want it to. Oh, you know what? Let me just double check. No, it has the right session ID. Okay, I can figure that out later. It is lower priority, as long as I'm able to see all the chats myself. Okay. So back to some of this testing. What are these points? We have day 12, 14, 15. UDLR. Of course, usually I have up to mean y plus 1, and then I interpret the grids upside down so that y goes down the axis. So I mean, I think that might get confusing in some contexts. I wonder if I shouldn't have it inverted. But we can certainly copy this. And then we have, so like methods like inbounds here, they need an area. And an area would contain an X range and a Y range. So we can't quite define that kind of thing yet. And we have two potential different adjacent methods. At some point, I know a good word for distinguishing between the two. We can worry about that later. I'll look at my area classes I have defined. Okay, and then we have a north, south, east, west. Oh, that's not quite east and west, is it? East is -1, so it's west and east. This is like my most frequently defined class. Let's just look at a few more point examples, see what we usually use them for. So, day 14, 2022. Nothing special there. Day 15, 2022. Oh, and while I'm at, well, I can do that later. Oh, a distance to another point. Okay. And we can have other, yeah. Let's just copy that right in. That should come in handy. What else are we doing with it here? Intervals. Right. A custom interval class could come in really handy. It's not as common, but being able to intersect, especially when we're moving in 3D space, is be very important. And it'll be nice not to have to rewrite all of this kind of code on the spot. Okay, then we had Day 17. Left, right, down. Okay, yeah, I remember this. This was a Tetris problem. Day 18. More inbalance, more adjacents. This is a three-dimensional point. So maybe I should have a 3D point ready to go, because it has happened the last 2 years that we have 3D spaces to work with. Let's drop here. By the way, Spencer, I found you don't actually, well, you do have to have it popped out, but you can just copy the URL that popped out, and you can just put like all the popped out tabs together in a window and tuck that away, and it'll still work. And I don't know if you'll find this helpful, but you could actually pop it out on a different computer altogether. And then as long as you're still using the same session ID, it'll work fine over the internet. Okay, I think we should look up some of these area classes. Let's just remove this grep. We did define a few grids in the past. We want area. Okay, 17, 2021. Okay, this is one way to do it. I do like the idea of using ranges. I think I used ranges at some other point. What do we do for day 18? It wasn't day 18. 20 and 22. All right. An area, again, with left, right, top, bot. And then we define ranges here in terms of left, right, top, bot. I like this way of doing it. And then we have points. We have like an inbounds check somewhere. Oh, that's the only time. Okay. So we could have a contains method on area. Area contains point. And then a point can have an inbounds method that takes an area as a parameter, or I don't know, a couple of ranges, something like that. So we'll copy this. Def contains the point. Oh, hey, look at this autocomplete. That's perfect. It knows exactly what to do. Clever. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to write stuff up in advance if my autocomplete is this good. Oh my god. Midnight Simon. Thanks for the raid. Welcome, welcome. So. Well, let me catch those messages here. Ready for AOC. I am preparing for AOC. So I think this is the first year when I might use a standard library. So I didn't the last 2 years. And part of the reason is I want to have these be standalone problems that, I have saved to the repo. But I can always edit it afterwards, make it a standalone thing. And having common classes like this will just help things go faster. Did I come back to Twitch just for AOC? Well, yeah, sort of. I didn't intend to come back sooner. But, life gets busy. I think this year I will stick around a bit. Because I have some ideas, I have some plans, some projects to share, and I have some time. I'm on the job search circuits right now, so I'll have plenty of time for AOC. But yeah, this year I'm planning to stick around in January after AOC. But AOC is a good motivator. It's an exciting time. I love the community around it. And yeah, thanks again for the raid. Well, I'm glad to have you around too. Okay, so I was graphing through my files here. For common things I use, point. Point comes up a lot. So I figure, instead of rewriting it on every single one of these problems, it's kind of silly. Am I looking for a job ASAP? ASAP-ish. I mean, I'm in 3 interview loops right now. So I have another interview on Friday. And another one next week with a different company. So I think it'd be nice to start in January. Oh, I've already taken a good amount of time to chill. I've been working on a side project with a friend. That's kept me a little bit busy. That's been fun. But the big money's nice. Like leak code style interviews? Yeah, I've had. I mean, honestly, not like leak code. I feel like with a lot of companies, leak code is is overkill. A lot of live coding interviews I found are just really easy problems. But then again, there's it's debatable how helpful of a signal it is to have like a hard algorithms problem, and then you join and all you end up doing is writing APIs the whole time. So I do think it's smarter to have an interview that's more closely related to work, and it's just one where you're like looking at how you think and collaborate with a more realistic problem, Or honestly, I like architecture interviews. I think companies should do them much more often, even with like juniorish engineers. Just ask them, how would they build something like, how would they get their head around this kind of a problem? Even if you don't expect them to necessarily architect something from scratch, it's a lot more of a useful conversation, I find. Anyone else in the interview loop? I do record all my interviews. I've done this for the last couple of years. I kind of enjoy these because sometimes I don't know. Sometimes silly stuff happens in interviews, and of course, this isn't stuff I would put online. And actually, maybe I don't always record them because sometimes you're in a state that's like a 2-party requirement for recording calls. So I maybe don't record all of them. But I do like going back through some of them. I once had an interview that was just generate prime numbers. That was it. That's the only problem they had left. I'd been doing Project Euler. I'd done this like literally twice on stream in the last month. And in the interview, I had it done in 5 minutes. I was like, okay, how many primes do you want? Do you want like 1,000,000? Do you want 10,000,000? It was a very, very short, very efficient version, done in 5 minutes, and that was the only question they had. So the rest of the time, I interviewed them, and that was also their only interview. So they're like hinging this huge salary on like prime number generation, which I ended up turning down that job, but it was ludicrous. Had nothing to do at all with work. You've been writing many classes. I have to learn how to write a class. I mean, writing classes often is sometimes useful depending on the language. Like data classes in Kotlin or case classes in Scala are really nice, lightweight, just data structures. Yeah, I just use a sieve of Aristophanes. In fact, let me see if I can pull up. This is probably almost exactly the code I wrote. I mean, I don't have that exact session, but I probably wrote something not like that. That's kind of an primes until, I think I called it. Yeah, one much like this. I used a bit set for the efficiency. This one here is a pretty performant version, and it's essentially a two-liner. What if you nail the prime numbers, then the first day on the job, you gotta reverse some linked list, and it turns out you don't know how. I actually had reversing linked list as an interview question, and I wasn't expecting it because it felt like such a meme of an interview question. But I was ready for it because I was waiting, because in Scala or other functional languages, what I wanted to do was list.fold and then nil and cons. Basically, that's how you reverse a linked list. It's the one-liner. I was like, okay, that's probably too short for you. Do you want something else, or? But yeah, like writing this live took 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. And then, you fumbled around for questions, and mostly I ended up asking the questions. Okay, I want an inbounds method for my point. Oh, how does it know I want what? I mean, that's a wrong definition. But it knew I wanted an inbounds method, which I find interesting. Maybe Copilot is listening to my microphone. Okay. But we actually want this to be a method that takes an area. And I guess we just do a that contains this. Oh, yeah, exactly that. And what did I use areas for? Okay, I had this class image, which had excuse me. Oh, a bit set of this was an interesting problem, because this here had like an infinite growing grid. Or like, in every iteration your grid would grow. So in those cases, I like to represent my setup points with a set. That way I don't have to worry about boundaries and like extending, my 2D array. But I still wanted the area, which is why I ended up having area and a bit set. And this ended up working pretty well. I think I was mostly happy with the performance here. Scala is quite a bit different than C++. Yeah, I mean, in some ways similar. You can write Scala that looks a bit more like C++. So I'm using Scala 3, and I've abandoned the traditional Scala 2 syntax, and now this looks more like Python. But you can also write Scala that looks identical in some cases to JavaScript. So in Scala.js, you can write, an old boss was talking about interviewing and mentioned that he asked people what their greatest strength and weakness. Someone else was like, really? They're kind of stupid questions, but if someone hasn't prepared an answer, I know they're probably not a good candidate. I mean, I think that's a shit metric if they haven't prepared an answer. Because I mean, they're meme questions. Like, why would you? If that's how you're preparing for an interview, is thinking about, oh, what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? Then that seems silly to me. I was asked that, and I think that's a question you can just answer on the spot and make up something. Or I don't know. Like, I know what my weaknesses are. But I think on the spot, I had an intrusive thought that I could give like a meme answer to this, and say like, "What's your greatest strength?" Oh, I don't know, something dumb like give bad answers to interview questions, or like whatever I would have said. It would have been inappropriate in the moment. But it was with this company, this startup, and that was my interview with the CEO. Like all my interviews up till then had been like really substantial, and we'd really gotten into like discussing, like what I'd actually do in the job, what my history was, how I handle conflicts, whatever. And then I get to the CEO, and it's these like, I don't know, did he like watch a YouTube video on how to interview people like just before this interview and decide to ask me what's the greatest strength and weakness? It just seemed, it's already silly. It seemed even sillier coming from the CEO himself, right? What do you think? Okay, what do we have here? We have, oh yeah, I was looking at how I'd use this. I think I also had like 3D areas at some point. I remember day 22. Day 22, 2021. So this one this was a fun one. It took me a while because I wrote too much code. I guess, well, all these are tests. But this was an elegant one because you had a bunch of cubes that you were intersecting with each other in space, and you had to, I think you basically had to like take the union of all these cubes. And, of course you could have like this set of points representing a cube and take like an actual union. But then they started making these cubes large enough. You couldn't take a union of like a million by a million cube, right? So you had to be a bit clever about intersecting areas. So here I found a way to intersect areas, and I started to do it recursively, right? So this is a case where I have my area defined as 3 ranges, and then I kind of recursively, for the 2-dimensional squares, I do some intersections. Decide diff it here. I don't need to walk through that right now, but I thought this was an elegant way to think about it. So I enjoyed this problem, and this ended up being fairly performant. Let me see. I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't like this all of a sudden. I was happy just a second ago. It is mostly a question to determine the type of character you portray, if you fit in the so-called environment. Yeah, those kinds of questions don't say anything about your skills and doing the job. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, I feel like so I don't know. Those are usually happen in like cultural fit type interviews, right? To determine what your kind of character. I feel like there are better ways to go about that, right? Like bring up a scenario. Like how would you handle this kind of situation, or like ask about your values or things like that. But strengths and weaknesses, I mean, if you ask a generic question, I think I don't know. It's fair enough to give like a very generic answer to that. Right? Like give the weakness that's not really a weakness or it's sort of a weakness, but um, what's a good weakness? Like, oh, I sometimes get too invested in my project, or my biggest strength is a 225 bench. That would, I mean, yeah, silly questions get silly answers. I don't know. I don't have the guts to actually give a silly answer. But I've thought about doing some interviews, like semi-anonymously, just to see what would happen if I gave silly answers. Record it for my personal collection. Um, okay. I think I would want the ability to intersect two areas. That might be a common thing. And to do that, I definitely want to be able to do that with this kind of interval type here that I can intersect. Hey, Alka! Welcome, good to see you. You're too amazing at coding. Such a problem. Yeah. Write too much code. I mean, yeah, that could actually be a problem. It's going well. It's going well. I am preparing for Advent of Code. Just got back from a couple weeks in California. Oh, I was speaking at a conference there. So if you see my new profile picture, that came from the conference. They had an artist illustrate every one of the speakers. So I asked them for the asset files, and I have a new profile pic for free. I mean, like I had to speak, but like I didn't have to commission one. I thought for a while I need to get an actual profile picture because the one I've been using is like a photo of me from 10 years ago. I don't have any professional pictures of myself. All right, Q. Have a good night and good luck with AOC. We'll see you. We'll see much more of you this month. By the way, speaking of AOC, here is my leaderboard. I've also started Discord. I'll be chatting about it there. So a good place to chat offline about AOC problems. Okay, this range class, I define it. Oh, excuse me. In a few different places. I think I named it interval once. So interval. Day 15, 2022. Look at that. I think I would rather call it interval. This might be basically the same thing. In fact, it is a copy paste. I think this is useful to have. And then an interval will allow me to get to get intersections of areas and diffs of areas. Diffs is a bit trickier because you can end up with a set of multiple areas. Like if you diffed two squares that intersected a little bit, you could end up with 6 squares to represent the remaining area. Is Scala similar to Python? I would say Scala is similar to Python in its conciseness. And with Scala 3, it does now have indent syntax. So it's also similar there. And you know, they both have like object-oriented history. Scala to me feels a bit more consistent in its syntax. Of course, with Scala, like type safety is a lot more important. So it's a strongly typed language, but one with a very rich type system. You know, like higher kind of types, and you can do like type arithmetic, basically, you know, logic based on types, and like type derivation. So it has a much more advanced type system. And I find with Python sometimes, so you know, you have pandas, you have all these different libraries are like DSLs, but they don't call themselves DSLs. I mean, they say they're just Python, but then you kind of end up having like many different languages. And I think Scala does a better job. Scala is better for writing DSLs. So DSLs you write you write and that you use in Scala, I think tend to be easier to work with, more consistent with what you might expect. They feel more like extensions of the language rather than a different language altogether. Okay, interval. So I have an interval. We're able to diff them. I want to test this out in a worksheet. So let me see. Maybe I'll just reuse this one. Oh, that's why this one bad. Or what was it, day 15? Okay, let's test out intervals. Yeah, no problem. Okay, we have an interval from 3 to 10. So let's call this A. And let's go like 7 to 13. And A dot intersect. Is there no intersect method? No, what methods do I have? Oh, we have a diff. Okay, so we subtract B from A. So if we subtract 7 through 13 from 3 to 10, we get 3 to 6. And trickier one, let's say we have an interval from 1 to 10. And we're diffing an interval in the middle, so we're subtracting from this, like, I don't know, 4 to 6. Wait, we're diffing an interval. I should create syntax for this. I'd like to write, you know, 1 to 10. The problem here is that 2 is already taken by range. I don't know, maybe I can do a conversion from interval to range. 1 through 3, 7 through 10. And we want an intersect. So let's go back to that day 22 problem. I'm pretty sure this range had an intersect. Okay. Oh, I don't have superset method. Contains. Main is less than equal n. We want superset. And these aren't called ranges, these are called intervals. Okay, we have an option. This is optional because when you take an intersection of two ranges, you might get nothing. And let's see, I don't know why I need an iterator. That seems like a two range function might be useful here. Right? And then we could just do two range.iterator instead of doing stuff like this. And okay. And we'll replace this to range.iterator. What I should do is write tests for this library code, which I'll do at some point. All right. Okay, we had methods for creating new ranges. Oh, and an unapply method. That seems pretty useful. An unapply method, by the way, allows you to extract from a string, or extract from other things in general. So it lets you use interval in a pattern match. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, one thing I want to look into. Okay, I had this moment last year. It was day 7, 2022. And this was very unfortunate. So I struggled. So this is a problem around like traversing directories. Let's look at this. Yeah, there are all these commands, and I think you have to kind of reconstruct. Anyway, I did this to like reconstruct the directory tree or something like that. And it was fine. Like I tested it heavily. I kept testing it. What got me here is right here. So contents then was a map. Yeah. So it's a map from directories to the contents of the directories. And yeah, so I want to get the size of each of these directories and then filter by ones that were greater than whatever. And I called keys. I called keys and set keys iterator. And what this gives is a set. And when you map on a set, what can we do? 1, 2, 3. And if we map, and let's say it's just a function that sends them all to 4, then what you get is like a set with just one element, right? So that didn't cause any problems here. I mean, that didn't cause any problems right away, but once you start doing, once you map to this size and then filter, you get some that had the same size. So all the duplicate sizes were eliminated from my total sum. And this is the one thing I didn't test. I kept testing all this other stuff. And this is such a wart. that you really just should not have. You should have a warning whenever you call keys.map. Because keys.map is generally pretty dangerous. So this year I'm gonna use a linter to catch stuff like that. So I'm gonna add that to my build. So here's wart remover. And this has all sorts of nice rules. Let me see. Documentation for wart remover is available here. Built-in warts. And is there one that has to do with a set? I could have sworn there was one. But anyway, I should add more linting in general. So, let me see. Oh. If I look in the help file here, or Scala C, there are linting options, and I want to go through those and add some to my build. That way I catch this stuff. I think I want under X or W. That way I can catch this stuff a bit sooner. I shouldn't have to be debugging this kind of stuff during AOC. It should just be caught. Okay, these are the X options. I think most of what I'm looking for has been moved to W. Alright. We don't really need this in a worksheet. We'll have plenty of local definitions that are unused, and those won't usually mean bugs. Warn if an explicit parameter is unused. I think that's important. Let's see. Let's go to my build. And I don't know. Let me see if I can remember. I'm not even gonna try to remember what I'm gonna do. Yeah, ChatGPT now. Okay, how do I add Galaxy? Warning options to my SBT build. Okay. Now let's see options. Unused explicits. Wait, I feel like there used to be a lot more warnings. Maybe they're hidden somewhere else. Well, let's start by adding this. W unused. Okay. And linted imports, privates, locals, implicits. I think I'm only worried about explicits not being used. Is there anything in here? Maybe some of these are in Why now? Print. No pre-def. Wow, I feel like there used to be many more warnings in here somewhere. And I also want W error. Fail the compilation if there are any warnings. Well, okay, let's start with this. Let's import the changes and let's see what a warning looks like. Will it jump at me enough while I'm in a worksheet? So we can do. Oh, Eric Wastel. Yes, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to it all year. Thanks for the good luck wishes. I think that will. I think that's a real lucky charm. If you say it, then I'm gonna have good luck. All right. Um, you know, I should look into another project. I think Rob Norris has a bunch of recommended. Norris. SBT settings. I don't know. For now, we test this. So we've just re-imported this build. So something like def foo bar int equals 13. The bar is an unused parameter. That's usually a bug. I am very much looking forward to Alka's visualizations this year. You know, that was kind of a goal for me this year, was to do more creative programming and learn some data viz, but it never happened. So maybe this next year, and if I'm actually streaming beyond Infinite Code, that'll be motivation to learn a bit. Okay. Problems. Right. So this is what a warning would look like. I think I need this to be a failure. So we're going to add error. And the wconf. Oh, this value discard here could be very useful. I think I'll add that. These are pretty configurable. It's been a while since I've set them up, but you can have it set some of these to be warnings, some of these to fail the build, and some of these to be ignored and whatnot. It's nice to have this flexibility, especially when you're trying to enforce things along the whole code base. Okay, w error, and we're going to import the changes. And there was one deprecation warning. Sure. Wait, that's an error in the build server. That's not in my build. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that for now. Eric, can you tell us anything at all about this year's problems? Are we gonna love them? This is my first year, by the way, when I'm gonna have a standard library. So I started taking very commonly used, or just things that could be very useful situationally. And hopefully that should speed me up a little bit this year. I'm not writing the same boilerplate over and over again. All the stuff around grids. I should look at what I have around grids, besides just the points. I don't know, maybe I should have like a built-in flood fill already. I'm not sure. This day 22 in 2021, by the way, is one of my favorite problems. I really enjoyed that one. Okay, we're gonna stop showing BSP errors. So, this should be resulting in the compilation errors right now, right? Build.sbt. In there. But nothing is changing? Oh, it's not showing anything here. I don't know. Set this up a lot of times, but it's been a while since I last set up. At least one puzzle contains the letter E. At least once. I see the trick there. The phrase "at least one puzzle" does in fact contain the letter E. No, I'm excited. Oh, yeah, I had tests running here. I didn't need to write those. Intersections of cubes. What was a cube 414? So that's intersected with itself. And you intersect with a corner, 3 to 10. Right, and the corner just ends up being 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay. I don't know. This is situational enough. If it comes to this, I'm just going to copy paste my area code from this file. A standard library, yeah. I didn't do it the last 2 years because I wanted to have every file be standalone. But at some point, there's just like so much boilerplate that I'm like rewriting. Like, if you look at my grep here, these here are all the problems in the last 3 years where I defined a point case class. So like, really, I should just have that. You know what I could do? I could search any case classes I defined. Maybe that'll give me an idea of things I should write up. Okay, point arithmetic. I should have that just built in. So there's just adding points That seems to be a common-ish thing. I can't remember what problems I had that in. A grid. Here's one where a grid is an area and a set of points. That's one way to define a grid. Sometimes I like having a set of points, sometimes I actually do a 2D grid. And which one I'll use is situational. But having like, I don't know, a setback grid ready with this area paired up, I think would be nice to have. So maybe I'll do that. I have a lot of state classes, but states always can be situational depending on the problem. Oh yeah, a line. What did I do with lines? Okay, let's see. On day 5. Ah, okay, this could be useful. So this only works. So if it's a horizontal line, we get these. And otherwise we assume it's diagonal. I should maybe have a check. But I probably wouldn't be calling this anyway if it wasn't going to be applicable, so I'm not going to have a check that it is in fact diagonal. Because in the last case is really just a, I don't know, throw an error. No. That horizontal. So if dy is 0 or dx is... Okay, and that's the difference between the points. Okay, I like this. This is this goes in the library. It's kind of similar to interval. Like an interval can be thought of as, well, like it is and it isn't. Okay. We have our interval, we have our area. It might be useful to have the lines representing the boundaries. Yeah, like dot points, left points. That came into play in the folding cube problem, Puzzle 22 last year. I'll leave it to you for that. Okay. What else? Now I'm going to take these and sort them. Oh, case class and then sort. Maybe enums. Oh, you know what? Something I often had was like an enum for directions. Yeah. Let's take out this H. And in fact, let's just do... Okay, so let's look at 2022, day 22 again. Oh. Enum dir. Oh, this is the wrong day 22. Oh, right, this was the folding cube problem. Oh, okay, this will be nice to have down and ready, because this is a lot of boilerplate, and it could be error-prone to write this live. And then move points by a direction, that's great. Yeah, directions frequently come in handy. Hmm. And then now this move method I want. And we want a plus. Def plus. And it knows exactly what I want. There we go. Ooh. Okay, this could be error prone. I'm not gonna have that. I'm gonna have just like this dot ES west and north. Why did I do them in that order? Probably has to do with this turn right. Okay. So we can move points. Directions are almost like functions, right? That take a point to a point. Like maybe this should actually be like an apply method on a direction. No, I like doing point that moved or that works for me. I wonder if I shouldn't also have a UDLR. I think I'll just translate it mentally to north, south, east, west. And maybe I'll do that someday. The grid class I might make might be a bit more complicated, so I'm gonna sit on that and think about it a bit. Okay, and this has a problem. A match error. Wait, what changed in this? This should be just be working. So day 22 has some test code I was writing. Right, this is the one that had the def foo. And this should be erroring. And it's not. I don't know why. Whatever. We're still gonna want to add this. Maybe I check ChatGPT. Okay, build. We add that error. Value discard. Let's look at our Scala C options again. Or, you know, let's go back to this GPT. Oh, here. Numeric widen. This would be a good one to have. A dead code. You'd also always have. Excellent. Where are those options? They've moved things. They've moved things around a bit. I got sick over Thanksgiving. I was really hoping my cough would be gone by now. It's like that lingering cough you get for like a couple weeks after, after you're sick. Sometimes it lasts a couple weeks. It's really annoying. Um, Excellent. Put X in here somewhere. I'll pipe this into less. Lint? There's no more lint. Oh, this is being piped out to standard error instead of standard out, isn't it? What if I do Scala? Nope. Okay, well, we'll just read through it. Implicit import suggestion. Max inlines. What happened to all the excellent options? You know what I should do is check the changelog for Scala. I remember when they added this, and they wrote documentation about it, or when they changed things up. Scala changelog. Okay. Here we go. Okay, like things like this. I don't want to be accidentally comparing an int and a string, so I should have that as a warning. This absolutely makes sense. And yeah, returning a value from a unit, although I'm probably not going to have unit functions at all. So that's lower priority. Scala 2.13.2. So 2.13.2. Okay. Warn. Oh yeah, and a no warn annotation. Right, I remember that's really nice because you can annotate a specific piece of code knowing that you're knowing that it'll generate that warning, but that it's a spurious warning. Warnings. What happened to excellent? Maybe you think ChatGPT could figure this out? Excellent option is missing. Okay. Excellent option in Scala. Can you check change logs and tell me when it disappeared? Where were those options moved? Okay. This might be faster than me at this. In the meantime, we can read some of these docs. Projects where the build log shows a lot of warnings. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge pet peeve of mine when a project has lots of warnings, because some of them are important, right? But no one's going to read through the stack of 100 warnings, which is why you should have stuff like this WR for like the warnings you do care about. And for warnings that you actually don't care about and never will care about, you should just suppress those altogether. That way there's always a small list of warnings, and you can look at these each in turn. But what happened to the excellent checks? Okay. I'm gonna transition from Scala 2 to Scala 3. Oh, okay, this is good stuff. Nullary unit, adapted args. Okay. Excellent. Wait. I thought it was gone. More an intent rather than mechanism. It appears there hasn't been a direct port of the Scala 2 linting warnings to Scala 3. Oh, interesting. There isn't a direct replacement for excellent. And they're trying to figure out which excellent warnings. See, this is why I should read the forums. And where did they find this? This is so great. This is such a great use case for ChatGPT. Oh, and Blast Hard Cheese was posting this. I know this guy. I actually know all these people. Okay. There isn't one so far. No one has stepped up to port the Scala 2 linting warnings to Scala 3 yet. Okay, that's a shame because there are some really good warnings there. Okay, I wonder if wart remover. Wart remover. Whoops. Works with Scala 3. Because I mean these are macros, right? Scala 3. I mean, I guess I suppose I could just try this and see if it works. Installation and setup. Okay, it should be called plugin set SPT. Oh, that's interesting. It's just recommending plugins willy-nilly. See if this works. Oh, and you know what I could do with a test? So I'm gonna test it in here and see if the compiler itself will notice these things. And then after that, I can figure out why it's not, all the warnings aren't coming up in the worksheets. So def foo bar int equals 13, sure. Okay, and return SBT. And see what we get when I compile it. Wait, what? This isn't even my code. Oh, right. Right, it's like a D flag of some sort. Let's ask ChatGPT here. Okay. So I got this error message. The command line when running SBT. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was even. Okay, so I have this in here before I run compile. Oops. This is really suspicious. This isn't a .metals directory. This has nothing at all to do with my code. I mean, maybe like just delete that. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna add this in our build file. And maybe while I'm at it, I'll add like deprecation. Yeah. How did it know? I'm always amused by the autocompletes that Copilot provides. Okay, we'll import those changes. We'll reload SBT. And then now we try compilation. And after we get this working, I'll probably call it a night. It's 1 a.m. over here. I just need to get used to staying up late for admin of code. Okay, let me try compile. And we see what information we get. Okay. But these are warnings are being turned into errors. This is from the standard library. Why am I getting errors from the standard library? Ah. Okay, I'll have to debug that one. That's very unusual. Maybe I just like nuke my metals stuff, the metals directory, and have it rebuild that. Maybe it's happening because of this. Because that is a value discard. These W options should only happen in my code. Or that's what I'm expecting it to do. It is not useful at all for it to happen in library code. So maybe that's one that changed with Scala 3? Which if it is, I don't know, that should be an issue. Figure it out. We've reloaded, and we try to compile. Okay, those are all warnings. So this did not run on standard library. In fact, you know what? Let's ask GPT about that. So when I added, what did I add? My Scala C options. I started getting warnings for code in the standard library. These warnings should only apply to my own code. What gives? I still really like this response. Like, it referenced the forums, summarized the discussion that happened in the forums. Oh. The W-lint option Scala 3 is suggested for enabling linting plugins. That's also part of this discussion here. I should read this. And I'm gonna follow this issue. It's closed. Why is it closed? Closed as complaint. Oh, okay. It became like a W warning. Okay, yeah, that's good. There's a W unused. The activity on this recently created ticket looks promising. August 2022. This is a year ago. Okay, yeah, this I already see it. Okay, this is stuff to sleep on. Maybe I'll do this sometime tomorrow. Hopefully I can get it done before admin of code actually starts. It's nice to have a start on some sort of library code. Maybe I'll test it when I have some free time. Perhaps while waiting for a problem to drop, I can test my library code, because I'm sure I won't use any of this tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a one-liner. Oh yes, what did ChatGPT have to say about... It applies to all code that the compiler processes. This can't be true. I've used this so much before. I mean, this is usually like in Scala 2 projects at work. This only works in the actual code. I don't have access to the code. Why is it even processing that code? It shouldn't be compiling that code, right? Oh, that's really unfortunate. That takes out a lot of the usefulness of a flag like that. I'm not sure I believe this. I'm gonna have to investigate some more. See, this is why I need more like Scala people in chat. because I can't be crazy. I can't be the only one that thinks that this isn't how it should work. I feel like I've seen this work in projects. I have to open up a different project and see this for myself. Of course, the last thing I could try is just nuking all those build files. My metals directory. It's too late for this. I think at this point I have to call it a night. So thanks everyone for stopping by. I do have an admin code leaderboard, so I'll be on tomorrow night and the night after, all the way through Christmas. So here's my leaderboard if you'd like to join. And if you'd like to discuss admin code problems offline, then here's my Discord. And good luck to everyone doing admin code. I'm very much looking forward to this month. Alrighty.